time by Bernardo Silva, and he scored the second himself after Doku teed him up. In between all of that, Chris Wood had a wonderful one-on-one opportunity which he hit wide of the post. Ortega's made a brilliant save, and Gvardiol's had two great chances as well. But at half-time here at the Etihad Stadium, in what's been a really entertaining first half, it is City 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Well, let's go back to the studio where Gareth Taylor, Nicky Weaver and Kel Spellman await.
Good evening, welcome back to Matchday Live. We are live from the Etihad Stadium as we welcome Nottingham Forest to our beautiful home ground, and it currently stands Manchester City 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Kevin de Bruyne is back, a goal and an assist for him in the first half. Gareth, I mean, Nottingham Forest have had the chances, but great performance from the boys in blue.
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting game. You know, you're right, Forest have had chances. Chris Wood, the header, I think that came in from the Gibbs White, obviously, and another really good shot, good strong hand from Ortega. So probably the scoreline doesn't tell the true story of the half, and Forest still look dangerous, particularly on counter-attacks, but City look up for it. You could see that, you know, there was a real kind of zip about their play, seemed to be like attacking. The fans are right behind the team, obviously the Forest fans are there as well, so I think it's really good atmosphere, and still not sure at the moment. I mean, it's a good position to be in, but you know, 2-0 is always that dodgy scoreline. I think there's still a lot to do in the second half because, like I say, Forest look dangerous and they have had good chances.
They've had good chances indeed. I mean, we'll focus in on the goals, but we highlighted him at the start. There's been a big save there at 1-0 down from Ortega. That felt so crucial at that moment, Nicky.
Huge, yeah. Big. It was Morgan Gibbs White, sort of swept the ball in. It's a decent height for Ortega. One you'd expect him to make, but it's a strong right hand, and he kept it out. And like Gareth said, that 2-0 doesn't tell the full story of the half, but that's where we're at, and we'll take it.
Yeah, we will take it. Before we start focusing on some of the key moments, beginning with who's playing where. He has opted for Bernardo over on the right, Doku, obviously, as you've seen him on the left, Jack in the middle. Why do you think he's gone that, and what have you made of that first half performance from Jack playing in the more central role?
Yeah, interesting to see him in there, firstly. Took a while to get into the game. He's starting to find possession a little bit more easier in that back end of the half. The most interesting one for me has probably been Gvardiol. He's ghosted in and got really good opportunities, so he's playing the more inside position. Akanji stayed in his kind of normal right side position. Ruben's taken the middle, building with a 3 with Nathan. And Gvardiol has caused real problems because you could see Elanga didn't want to track him at the beginning. He moved out to the left side. And Gvardiol ghosted in. You know, really, he should have scored 2 tonight already. And he seems to be picking up some really good positions, more advanced than we normally see him. But I think, for City, I think it's really important that the next goal is kind of crucial. Yeah. Because, like I say, Forest are still in a good position. They still feel confident with having a lot of the play this half and also some really good chances. Yeah,
really good chances for them. Let's focus in on City's chances, though. I mean, Kevin de Bruyne at the heart of it, and it was great to get a goal. And well, his assist as well there for that first goal, Nicky.
Yeah, I think it's great play from Gundogan. Makes a great run off the back of Gibbs White, gets it down that inside left channel and dinks a great ball over. It looked like KDB was going to come and just put it in himself, but he's headed it back across, and Bernardo Silva's got the ease of the tap-ins. But everything City have done well. Kevin de Bruyne has had an influence in, and as Gareth said, they had a real zip about them from early on, and you could sense there was a real intent. Pep's trying to get the crowd involved as well, and that got them off to a great start when they got that goal.
So it was at 1-0. We had the Ortega save, and then there was also it was a misplaced pass from De Bruyne, and one that we've seen. The odd mistake over these last kind of, as I say, run of games. City quite lucky that it just went off target there.
Crucial moment. fell to the player that you don't want it to fall to, and misplaced from Kevin, just played behind Ruben. All of a sudden, Chris Wood's got the ascendancy and he's bearing down on Ortega, and actually is probably for Chris Wood a really poor finish. Probably put it a foot wide of the left side of the goal. Potentially should have gone the other side. Yeah. He sat Ortega down as well, so could have done a number of things really, but that was a bit of a let-off for City.
Is it one of them though as well, Nick? We were just speaking about rub of the green, and it feels like in these last kind of run of games when it's been raining, it's been pouring, and maybe things that might have not gone out, could go our way, seem to have always gone against us. That just feels like maybe we would come out the other side of that run of bad luck a little bit.
Yeah, we got away with a couple of things tonight where in recent games have been getting punished for any slight little error. Obviously, De Bruyne there is a big error, and he's got away with it, giving it into a player in the form of Chris Wood. So a real let-off, and 2 minutes later, down the other end.
Yeah, 2-0, and I mean that you couldn't write that, and who else but Kevin de Bruyne with the assist from a man that we were speaking about before the game, Jeremy Doku.
Yeah, good goal. There was probably arguments from Forest that there was an elbow from Doku, but he worked the play really well, found the right pass, and Kevin finished it off. But yeah, I think Forest, the way they've set up has been really interesting, because they've allowed the player in possession to be completely left, and they've gone player for player all over the pitch. And even to the point of Elanga is not doing anything defensively now. He's just ready for the counter-attack. And this is something that City have to be really careful of, because, they've still got some dangerous players, and they still feel in the second half that they will carve out some opportunities. But again, like you say, I think there was good impetus at the beginning of the game. There was good tempo and rhythm from City, created some chances. Haaland had a decent chance. And like Nicky said a little bit, sometimes you need that rub of the green.
Yeah.
They're in a good position now, but there's plenty of work still to do.
Obviously, as well, if we're knowing that they're going to be set up for that, I guess one of the key elements then, concentration, particularly for our defensive players in this second half, knowing that is what they're almost set up to play and do, Nicky.
Absolutely, and at 2-0, the next goal is absolutely vital.
Huge.
If it goes City's way at 3-0, you expect them to go on and win, although we've seen that not been the case in the last couple of weeks. But yeah, if it goes to Forest, then it really is game on. So it's hugely important for City players, especially at the back there, to keep really switched on to the counter. We've seen the pace that Elanga has got and can cause problems. I'm sure if it stays like this, it won't be long before Callum Hudson-Odoi on, who's a very dangerous player as well. So there's a lot to ponder, but it's so far so good.
I think maintaining attacks for City is going to be really important. So they're in good positions around the edge of the box, and most of the time, I think it's been kind of like 50-50 in that half. They've really controlled the counter-attacks well, so they've been in the possession to be able to nick the ball in front. So then you can maintain the attack, even when Forest win possession. But there's also been other times when they've been a little bit open, and a couple of little errors, wrong positioning, and all of a sudden they're defending their own goal. Quite a lot of corners from Forest.
Yes.
So they're getting their City, and like I said to you before, it's about getting over the line, and whatever it takes tonight. You can see Kyle Walker warming up. I'm not sure if there's a problem with Akanji, so it looks like we might see the change at half time, and Kyle coming into the game, and we're going to need his pace and his experience in those counter-attacking moments.
Yeah, particularly as we further get into the half, if it does stay at 2-0. Yeah. Hopefully though, we'll get that all-important third goal. We'll just take a pause before we look ahead to the second half, because as we know, there's all top 6 teams are in action this evening in the Premier League, and I'm just going to bring you some scores from the games at the moment. So Southampton, who are at home to Chelsea, are losing 3-1. Everton are beating Wolves 2-0. And Newcastle, they are 1-0 up. They have just kicked off as well. Arsenal, United and Villa Brentford have just kicked off. So we can bring you the update from the table now, and already with the way it stands, obviously teams still to play, but straight back into the top 4, Gareth, as well, which is
that looks a bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The live table looks good, but there's a lot of football to be played in the second half here, and obviously elsewhere as well.
Just feel, Nicky, Chelsea are really putting a great run of form together and playing some, brilliant, imperious football at times. I think 3-1 there at half time against Southampton.
Yeah, they've got a great squad to choose from. Jackson's been fantastic this year, and obviously Maresca in there under influence of Pep, and certainly Arteta as well, influenced by Pep, and like Gareth said before the show, most managers in that sort of top half or all the Premier League will be influenced by Pep at some point, but those two, Chelsea and Arsenal, have obviously worked in close quarters with him. But that looks a lot better now, doesn't it, than it did an hour ago.
So Arsenal still to kick off also as well, just note, I think Chelsea's next 6 fixtures involve playing 5 of the teams that are at the bottom of the Premier League, so maybe something for the fantasy football players out there to be thinking of. Just on that, Gareth, and this will be like an obvious question, you can't, I guess, overstate the influence that Pep has had on managers and on the modern day game.
Yeah, huge. I think every team that you see trying to play out from the back in the non-league, in the conference, those types of levels is fascinating to see. And of course, it's not just Pep, but it's strongly influenced by Pep. He's kind of really changed the face of football in terms of how he's brought in that type of culture to wherever he's been, whether it be at Barcelona, where obviously everyone was firstly really impressed with him, and went and had to follow Jupp Heynckes at Bayern, who just won a treble, won the European Cup, and still had real success there, and obviously come to City and completely taken the club up to the stratosphere. And just a huge influence on many coaches. Obviously a huge fan. Very fortunate to be in the same environment as him, where you get to get a sneak peek on occasion. So just huge. And I actually like to see these types of managers go through this period. I remember going to see Jurgen Klopp and having a conversation with him when he was in a real bad period at Liverpool, when people were asking questions because the team was struggling. And it's really interesting to see what those personalities are like, because you can tell when everyone is doing really well what they're going to be like. They're all saying the right things, but what they're going to be like when they're struggling a little bit. And of course, I think Pep's been fairly consistent in this period. He's not changed much. He's not said we need to change too much. We need some players back. Obviously, Kevin makes a big difference. We need a little bit of luck. We need to finish our chances, and we need to be a little bit more tighter at the back. So, I'm fascinated by seeing the very best when they're in the slump.
Yes.
And how they're going to navigate their way out of it.
It's interesting as well. You can almost even hear, though, in Pep's rhetoric, that it gives him more of that energy to get out of the rut. That almost energises him more to be like, no, I want to find a way to fix this, and I will.
Well, like Gareth, I think Gareth mentioned it before. He believes in what he's doing, and what he believes in has got him all the success he's had over the years. So he won't change just by a couple of results. He may make a couple of little tweaks here and there, don't get me wrong, but it's all about the process, and he'll be really concerned about, as Gareth said, about the performance. You can control the performance, you can't control the result, but the good performance generally brings a good result from City. And he is the master of his craft, isn't he? And it's not nice to see him going through these, but it's interesting to see how they react to it. And he's not panicked, even at Liverpool, when he's holding the six up and all that. I don't think it was, there was no sort of panic there. He was just letting people know and almost backing himself to say, listen, I've been in situations before, and I'll get us out of it.
Yeah, never question Pep. That was such a great moment. I love that still image of him holding them up at Anfield. In the changing room now, looking to the second half, I guess it doesn't need to be voiced, but given the run, you think of the Feyenoord game, that might be in the back of players' heads. What kind of would be the conversational talk, do you think, in the changing room now? Just kind of carry on and do what you do and trust the process, or? Yeah,
hard to know with Pep, but I can imagine there'd be something along the lines of focus. The focus in the second half needs to be from minute 45 all the way through to 90, whatever. I think that's really important. And like I said to you, I think there'll be some slight kind of discussions on there around maintaining attacks. Really important that we're not all running back to our own goal 60, 70 metres and conceding 3 corners. And that comes down to concentration.
Yeah.
The difference between that happening, where everyone's running back towards their own goal or not, comes down to concentration levels.
Yes.
And staying focused on the game and making sure, like I said to you, they get across the line.
We'll probably see some changes. I'm guessing what we won't see, though, Nicky, is maybe 3 changes at around 70 minutes all at once. Maybe you won't do that again.
No, unless the scoreline changes quite significantly. But we don't expect Kevin de Bruyne to play much more than 60, 65 minutes. Jack Grealish hasn't played loads, but I think he would be able to play 90. So I think there will be changes. It'll all depend on. Firstly, as Gareth just touched on there, it looked like Akanji was carrying a little bit of a knock, and Kyle Walker was having a bit of an extensive warm-up, so it'll be interesting to see if that's a change. But more of the same. We're just got to be really concentrated and really switched on at the back.
I guess as well, actually, because you were saying Gvardiol's been the player to come back on the inside. Kyle being out there on the right will just be able to hold with the 3, like you say, if he was to come on.
Yeah, I think that's just a like for like. I think Gvardiol is causing issues, certainly for Forest, picking up those central positions. I think at the beginning of the first half of the half, he was getting a lot of the ball. Now it's shifted to Jack.
Yeah.
So obviously they're occupying Gvardiol now, and it's difficult for them to cater for everyone. And now Jack's getting a lot more of the ball in that second half of the half.
That's it. It's great to see him there as well, getting that freedom in the middle. Right, it's Manchester City 2, Nottingham Forest 0. We'll be back at full time, hopefully talking about that City win and maybe as well that clean sheet that was in your prediction, Nicky. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at full time.
Thank you, Kel. Welcome back to the Etihad Stadium. There are no City players on the pitch at the moment. The entire Nottingham Forest team is. Half-time score at St James's Park is interesting. Newcastle 1, Liverpool 0, but early days. Chelsea beating Southampton. Everton beating Wolves. 0-0 Arsenal, Manchester United. and Aston Villa Brentford, although the kick-off times are very different. Well, it's a change for the visitors, and it is Morato who is coming on. He is largely a defensive player. Didn't see any injuries to Forest players, but there is a change for the visitors. Just looking to see, it's Yates. Yates is coming off, and also Kyle Walker is coming on for Manuel Akanji. So Akanji is coming off and Kyle Walker is coming on. So a change for both teams, both defensive changes as well. Morato for Yates and Walker for Akanji. I think we felt that Akanji had a little bit of a knock, so perhaps that's not too much